Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Hey guys, real quick, before we jump into the episode, I need you to do the 3 S's for me. What is that? First of all, I need you to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss an episode of our podcast. Number 2, I need you to share it with your family and friends. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone else. Lastly, I need you to say something. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to see from us, what you like, what you don't like. We are open to your suggestions. We want to know everything that you want to let us know about the podcast. All right. Now, get back to the episode. All right. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is healed, whole, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. So deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share our podcast on all of your social media platforms as well as ours. And also make sure you guys are checking us out on our YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, where you can not only find the not only will you find the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, but you will also find our sister podcast, which is the Girl Dead Discussions podcast, both of which are on our YouTube channel, again, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Our product of the week, as you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way that we stay on the air is by bringing you amazing products for you to purchase to help us to stay on the air. So our product of the week is our purpose journal as well as our purpose planner, because I believe we are to journal to keep track of where we've been and where we are, as well as plan for our future. So you can get your copy of our purpose journal and our purpose planner on Amazon. The links are in the description. Please make sure you check out our descriptions, because there's also a lot of great information there that we don't share necessarily on the podcast all the time, but it's always in the descriptions. So you want to go there and make sure that you guys follow us there. But today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, and I want to make sure I say your name right. Is it Selvin? Cool.
Yeah.
Want to make sure I said it right. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? Everything's good. How you doing over there?
I am good. First of all, let me say thank you for being on, man. Because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. So I want to jump right into this thing. So do me a favor, introduce yourself to my audience and tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay, my name is Selvin Hicks the third. You know, I got to put the third in there. I am a community organizer today, a redemption speaker, and a first-time author of Sinners Redemption. My mission is to bring community back into community. My mission is to let people understand that no matter how bad the mistakes they've made, they can always come back from that. You can always be redeemed in the house of the Lord. I'm a new Christian, and I'm here to connect with everybody who's willing. So that's me. That's what I'm about.
I love it, man. And we definitely want to get more into the book toward the end of the conversation. Okay. But let's go to the beginning, right? Because you mentioned you're a new Christian, so this is a new journey for you. But there's always a journey before the journey, right? Yeah. So who was Mr. Hicks growing up? You know what I'm saying? You said you said you the third, and I'm a junior. I don't always throw the junior out there, but I'm a junior, but you the third. So, but let's go back. Just in your story, just starting up with your upbringing and you know, how did you grow up and your mindset and things of that nature to get to that point where it, whatever that thing was that made you be like, all right, now I'm gonna change my ways, right? So
Okay.
just getting up until that point. Who were you growing up? What was your life like? You know, and how was your mindset? Let's just go there.
So it's a roller coaster, man. So I started off good. Uh, grew up in a two-parent household. Both my parents were active, still active in my life today. My dad owned his own company. My mom was pretty much an administrative worker. She was a school teacher for a while. I actually taught at my school, but I grew up in a pretty well established household, and I went to private school. I was really, really like a bright kid.
Yeah.
Everybody just knew I had a great future, and everything was pretty much on par until I had my first real tragedy, which was my grandma passing. My grandma was like my best friend, and when she passed, it affected me. I was 14 when she passed. 15. I was 15 when she passed, and that affected me so hard. I wanted to change who I was because it affected my parents as well. We ended up moving to Georgia because of that whole situation. And when that happened, I used that as an opportunity to try to reinvent myself rather than just embrace who I've always been. I grew up in a raggedy neighborhood. No matter me going to private school, you go back home and you in the hood, or you go back home and you're surrounded by it because we did move out of the hood. So it was still like your cousins and family relatives and all
Yeah.
that stuff. You're still surrounded by nonsense. And so I decided to take on that and embody those principles when I moved to Georgia and Atlanta, and I started building my character around those things that really wasn't me. Um, Still maintain good grades. And then I just started hanging out with a bad crowd. About 10th, 11th grade, started going to jail in my 12th grade year. But I was good and legal. I was 18 years old before I went to jail for the first time, and I kept that cycle of just nonsense and debauchery until I was 30. So it's just been a crazy ride, man.
Yeah. I
From
want-
small things to large things, DUIs,
yeah.
partying, all of that.
Yeah, I want to go back real quick because you mentioned that the turning point of everything was when your grandmother passed away,
Yeah,
right? And so in those spaces or in those time periods are really life changing, events that happen in our lives. And a
yeah.
lot of times it's dealing with grief, dealing with those things that we don't necessarily talk about or necessarily know how to express, and so you mentioned that your grandmother was, like your best friend and everything. um Even with that being said, how if we want to be a little more direct, in what ways would you say her passing have probably affected you the most that would make you want to change your personality? Because it's like you were the good kid, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, I'm just gonna turn into this bad kid. Was it a maybe an act of defiance somewhat because of the your grandmother missing?
I don't know if it was defiance. I'm gonna tell you like this. It was a series of events. I think the most traumatic part of it was how I actually found out. So my grandma moved into the house with us because she was sick. She was, I guess, terminal would be the description for it, but we didn't know that. I didn't know that as a kid. So she was on a time clock, and I didn't know. And I ended up hearing, like, waking up early in the morning one day, and I'm hearing all these like radio noises outside of my room. And so I walk outside, and it was just like, what's going on? I'm seeing, sorry, but just random white guys walking all through my house. I'm like, what's going on? So I ended up running to my parents' room. I didn't see anybody in there. I turn around and she's just like laid out on the ground. Like nobody told me that she passed away. I literally just saw her laying there, you know what I'm saying? Tape all over her breast and her shirt wide open. They're trying to, do the electric shock
Yeah,
with
yeah.
her. And I'm just like, what is going on? And my dad ran upstairs and was like, Sel, go in your room. And that really affected me. And it wasn't even like that's the first part. The second part is after she died, her funeral, she didn't look like herself. Like I never really saw my grandma wear makeup. She had all this makeup on. Her skin was all glossy, and it was like this is the person that I would talk to like for hours every day. Even before she moved in with us, I'll be on the phone with her for like like 2-3 hours after school. You know what I'm saying? So just watch this person that was so close to me, and then all of a sudden just get ripped from me. It was more anger than anything. If I can look back at like what I was feeling, it was
Yeah.
like disconnect, and I don't feel connected to other people in that way. So it was just that can make somebody feel lost. I'm
Yeah.
literally just like going back, just answering the question. So
Yeah.
yeah, if I had to say, it was probably anger and just lost, and I didn't want to feel what I was feeling. So I guess if I changed personalities, maybe I wasn't that person anymore. You know,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. And that's why I asked the question because, having dealt with grief myself, and knowing how, I was changed in different ways, I asked the question because number one, it allows you to process it, you know what I mean, to process how you feel. And then as you begin to explain it, it also allows the listeners to be able to connect with if that's something that they're dealing with, because we all deal with grief in different ways and for different
Yeah.
things. Because one of the things I like to point out is that grief is not only for when someone passes. Grief is for can be attached to any kind of loss.
Yeah.
Whether it's a job, whether it's a dream, whether it's a
Mhm.
person, it can attach to anything when you're dealing with loss. Um, Even recently for me, I posted on my social media um, that one of my turtles died. Right, so I'm a
Yeah.
turtle guy. I love turtles, and I had this turtle for 10 years.
Mhm.
And I came home from work and it had died. You know what I'm saying? And so that was a grief moment for me because I'm like, dang man, you know what I'm saying? So I like to be able to express that because I want people to be able to, to be able to process those emotions that or those thoughts that they may be feeling in the midst of going through those changes. And
Yeah.
so you're somewhat angry, you know what I mean, and so you get to this new space where you are now allowed to reinvent yourself. And I think that's something to point out too, um whether positive or negative. you know Sometime a change of environment will allow you to get the new start that you want.
Yeah.
And in this case, it probably wasn't the best. You know what I'm saying? But we can take that into consideration when we're dealing with different things in our lives. Sometimes the new environment may be what we need. Because sometimes we don't always go come from the most positive areas,
Yeah.
or even if we are from a positive area, like you said, you grew up in a two-parent household, mother a teacher, father a business owner, like that's like a great, space to be in. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But yet and still, there still can be some negative aspects, right? And you mentioned about having your friends and families who may have had some negative attributes to them. So even though your household might have been good, you're still connected to the outside world that may have had these other influences. And
Yeah.
I had a recent conversation with a friend of mine. I'm in Chicago, and
Okay.
we are talking about growing up in Chicago, and he became a police officer, and then he became a therapist, and we were having that conversation about that. And I said, man, what made you go that way? Especially growing up in Chicago, because you either gang affiliated or gang related,
Yeah.
right? You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
even if you're not in it, like you mentioned, you got friends, family, cousins, because it's such so prevalent in some of the spaces that we're in, that even if you're not in it, like myself, I never was a part of it, but I'm definitely affected by it because you got family and friends that's in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you kind of find yourself in those spaces. So even let's talk about that a little bit. So even in the space that you were in, and then I would definitely want to go into the redemption part of it because that plays a part too, because
Mhm.
that definitely had to become another environment that you put yourself in. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? To change that. So how do you think that having that opportunity to reinvent yourself, whether, like I said, it could be good or bad. In this case, it probably was the best, but it allowed you that opportunity to be able to change the things that you wanted to change about yourself. So how do you think, even in that, being able to do that and going through that transition, how did that new environment help you to just reinvent yourself?
Okay, you talk about the new change into Christianity, right?
Well, before we get to that, just the
Okay.
change when you mentioned about your grandmother passed and then you went to Atlanta and
Hmm.
then you became a whole different person than you were
Yeah.
prior. You know what I mean? So just that environment, how did that allow you to be able to change who you were,
Oh,
there and then, stepping into Christianity, which was a different environment, a different change.
okay. Well, initially, it was easy to change because nobody knew who I was. And it was
Mhm.
literally just people at home. And then I go to school and I get to be, these kids don't know me. They all grew up with each other. They don't know me from a can of paint. So I'm just
Mhm.
like, look, I'm this. I didn't even use my real name. I changed my name. I stopped going by. I've been Selvin, I'm Little Sel because, I'm a third, right? My family called me Little Sel. When I came to Atlanta, I started going by Maze. Like everybody just knew me as Maze. And I changed my name. I changed everything that I thought that I didn't like about myself. And really, built my first avatar, if I put it like that.
Yeah.
Like I was like, this is what I like. I like when people respond when I do this. I started doing rap. I started writing these crazy raps. Like people started knowing that I can rap and freestyle, and they wanted me to battle people in the lunchroom. So I just started embracing like an entire mentality, like a crazy mentality shift. Well, not a caveat, but just something that I didn't mention is did poetry. I would always like write when I was younger, and it did transform into rap, but it wasn't nothing like what this was in high school.
Mhm.
So I started reinventing myself, and through that, validated the stuff that I was rapping about by the friends I had. And now it's just like, oh, I may not be doing it, but I'm hanging out with these dudes, and then they doing it, and then by default, it don't take long, you
Yeah.
end up doing it, and it's like now you're around it. Uh, it was crazy, man. Like the mentality shift of, and I'm gonna just be honest with you, it's like I'm not that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like every
Mhm.
instance, even through the arrest, when I first got arrested, when I was on the street talking to the cop, I was like tough as nails. But as soon as I got arrested, I was like, I'm scared. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how this
Mhm.
is gonna go. Because I told you I was 18. I didn't go to juvenile. I went straight to grown man jail.
Mm.
And so I'm
Okay.
like, I don't know what to expect. I don't know how this is going to turn out. But this is the crazy thing about coming from a good family. My parents got me right out, and I didn't have that lingering in jail kind of feeling like, man, I need to shift or change my ways and stuff. It was like, oh, if I go to jail, I'm getting right out like that, and that
Mm.
was like a mentality that you can develop in that space. And so that the first two times I ended up just going straight to jail and getting out. First was like a loitering and prowling charge, some slap on some dumb stuff. The second one was a theft by taking. I ended up stealing just about $40,000 from my first job, and just it was over the span of 3 years, which is still a lot, but it's I did that. They only charged me with like $2,000 in restitution because they asked me how much I took, and so I just told them anything. But if I would go back, I would have told them a misdemeanor amount instead of a felony amount. But after that, it was the armed robbery, and that was the first time I went to jail, and I couldn't get right out because the theft by taking and the armed robbery was a month apart. So if you out on bond and then you get arrested again, you got to sit because you just revoked your bond. So they
Mhm.
look at you as probably not a good investment. The bail bond company is like, nah, we're not going to give you bond, and so that was the first time I sat, and because of the nature of the crime, it was violent, and they sent me to the violent dorms, and that's where I think my mind shifted from wanting to be a gangster to wanting to be a hustler, because I thought that I was, what I'm saying, like, oh, I can do whatever. You can't tell, but I'm like 5'9" and about 5'10", 150. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a big guy.
Mhm.
So like once I started seeing those big dudes in there, they like gladiators, and they do not care about you. They will do you dirty in the worst way. I learned very early, mind your business, play chess, play cards. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I just stayed to myself. And because of the way I carried myself and I don't look like trouble, people really left me alone. Like nobody really wanted to get points off me. That was like, you know what I'm saying? And I was I still stayed around pretty decent people even when I was in jail. So my mindset in jail was like, I'm not a gangster because these is gangsters. What am
Mhm.
I? I'm a hustler because even in there, I'm still making plays. I'm still trading stuff. I'm trading up. I'm making, you know what I'm saying, money
Yeah.
in jail. So I'm like, this is who I am. I've always been good. I seen my dad run his own company. I'm a salesperson. Problem with that, when you get out of jail, I ended up getting sentenced to boot camp. And I got kicked out of Morehouse. I ended up getting accepted to Morehouse. I ended up getting kicked out of Morehouse, ended up going to boot camp. But when I got out of boot camp, it was a 90-day thing. Ended up doing like 5-6 months total. And when I came home, it was nothing. It's nothing for you. You got all these felonies now. I'm 19 years old. I got all these felonies. I got about 3-4 felonies at that time. They won't let me in the military. They won't let me work. I tried to McDonald's. They was like, no. So this is like 2009. This
Mhm.
is before the job market crashed and they was hiring anybody. So now it's like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Then I ended up running into an entrepreneur. He owned a coffee shop. And I interviewed with a bunch of people. Nobody would hire me. I interviewed with him. He was just like, yeah, come on, come next day, train. And I was just like, what? Then I saw like the power of entrepreneurship from that point. And once I saw that, I just knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. You know, even though I watched my dad do his thing, in my mind, I was going to be a lawyer. So
Mhm.
everything that I was doing, even though I was running around, you see, I still got accepted to Morehouse. I still was like academically,
Yeah.
you know, so I'm like, I'm still moving in that direction. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm just living life. I didn't know it was going to catch me like that. So going from wanting to be a lawyer to sitting in jail to not being able to get a job to working at a coffee shop, I fell in love with entrepreneurship because I saw the power in it. So imagine not feeling no kind of control, feeling like your life is in a balance and you just see a decision being made by somebody who doesn't even know you, that didn't look at you from paper, but looked at you as a person. And I was like, I want that. You know what I'm saying? So that was basically that first shift.
Yeah, yeah, and I like that. I like that. That even the way that you explained it because it kind of makes sense and even with your journey. And so you start the job at the coffee shop. You're introduced to entrepreneurship from a different angle because you had already seen it, from your dad. But now you reintroduced to it now, from your own standpoint and your own, getting into it yourself. And how did that lead to you coming into contact with the church? Because we haven't mentioned anything about Christianity
Oh,
up until this point. You know what I'm saying? So was your parents Christian, or did you grow up going to church or anything, or it was just
for like
something
a
that
period.
was new?
A small period of time when I was like 11, 10, something like that, we went to church, but it was not really like it didn't last. And then again, when I was like 16, they tried it, or 18 or something like that. They tried it for like another couple of months, but it never really stuck. They're not really like really church people. They believe in God. I know they believe in God, but they're not really church people. Um, Actually, when I went to boot camp, I converted to Islam. I started praying Muslim. I started, went through that, and then I got out, and I didn't want to be a Muslim. I didn't really have no connection to it. I
Mhm.
like the discipline of Islam. I'm gonna be honest. I like the
Yeah.
discipline and how structured it is. And even if you look at it from a social standpoint, it's like, man, they actually have done a lot for the black community. They produce
Mhm.
more black leaders than any other organization. They were the way during the '60s and the '70s. You know, and it was just they're pretty cool. But that's what I was enamored with. Malcolm X is like one of my favorite historical figures. So it just, you know what I'm saying. But after I converted and I came out, I didn't have no connection to it, so I lost it. Then I became quote unquote agnostic. While I'm in the coffee shops, I'm talking to different people. And I'm talking to doctors, professors, lawyers, and everything, and just kind of having real philosophical conversations. And I just said, well, I'm agnostic. I believe in a God, but then I don't really think that it's any religion. Then from that, I met a. I'm sorry, if you don't want me to talk about this, I can skip over it. But I met a gay dude that was supposed to be Christian, and then I was like, I don't even believe in Christianity anymore. If he believes, like, I don't want to seem like that, but that's just literally was my thought process. I'm like, I don't want to be affiliated with none of that. So I was like, I'm an atheist, and it really pushed me to atheism. Um, Believed in all kind of spiritual practices, divinity, the Anunnaki. I got involved in all of that. And then it was like all all of this kind of pushed me in the coffee shop, and then the open mics from the coffee shops reintroduced me to the music that I had, the love for writing, right? Then I became a rapper right after that. And then for the next 4 or 5 years, I started chasing music. And that had a whole nother can of worms. Which was a whole nother can of worms attached to that.
Okay. So when did you get back into, or should I say when did you get into the church part where it actually started your redemption story? You know what I mean? Because now you're in a different space now, especially you wrote a book about it and everything. So there had to be a transition. Like let's talk about that transition of redemption with everything that you've done, everything that you've been through and all of that. Now you're at a space where it's like, all right, what was that initial incident that kind of shifted you in your experience?
Okay, so like most things that happen with change with men, it came from a woman. So she was. This was not the. This is 2 relationships ago. She was really adamant on not cohabitate, not living together before marriage. She was really on not having sex before marriage. But she would say that it didn't happen. But that she would say it a lot, and it kind of reintroduced me to it, but in a way that was like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you are introduced to it from a lukewarm perspective, it'll make you not take it serious.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because not that I don't see the fruit of your life. It's just it's a lukewarm perspective. Your whole viewpoint on it, your approach is lukewarm. So it's like you not taking it serious. Why should I? Like you know what I'm saying? So, but from that, I just started doing the Bible app. I downloaded the Bible app. I started reading scriptures in the morning, and that's just what it was. That was actually last year. So, then I met another woman. Like did something bad, started talking to another girl while I was dealing with that one, ended up hopping from one to another. And she was a quote unquote real believer, but she was real lukewarm as well. But she was more consistent in the verbiage of Christianity. Like she would speak about it. She would quote scripture. She grew up in the church. So
Mhm.
her aura was a little different with it. But she introduced me to it from a different standpoint. Now, we skipped over a lot from me being a hustler and a drug dealer, and then I started the business development brand, right? But in that, I approached the salesmanship that we talked about that I discovered while I was in jail. So I've really been so assertive in all of my endeavors of putting my hands on anything. And so she kept hammering this in my head: be still, be still. You got to be still and let God be God. And I was like, man, shut up. Like literally, like y'all gotta get to it. Like you talk about this, I got stuff to do. It was like a series. I started this new brand. It was going, and I had ended up generating so much money, but I was traveling with the brand, and so it was like a cycle. I couldn't get over the hump. Everything that was coming in was flowing right back out, which was cool because I was trying to scale. The goal was to scale, but I was getting frustrated because as I'm trying to scale a business, I got this woman that's trying to build a life with me, and it's like, look, like I'm getting frustrated. So I'm like, look, I'm about to just come back to Atlanta and I'm gonna start this business, and this is where it changes. So I'm like, I'm just gonna stick right here in Atlanta and I'm gonna run this corporation, the Chosen Ones. And as I'm doing that, I set up a show. Now I do concerts for independent artists and stuff. That's like some of the most guaranteed money you'll ever that I know how to make. And so when I did that, I set it up at a venue I was comfortable with, and I ran it, and everything was flowing good, right? And then some dude tried to play me out some money while I was there, and because I was there, I was drinking, I was kind of, you know what I'm saying, inebriated. I felt it. I fell for it. Now I'm mad. I want something to happen. I want to do something to him. You know what I'm saying? And it took me to a real bad space. And I think that she was with me that night, and it really like scared her. It threw her off because she ain't never see that side of me. She only known me as the business guy. She never knew me when I was getting arrested for real.
Mm.
So when she saw that, she was like startled, and she was like, "I don't want you to do that anymore. I really want you to, focus on your business. Just focus on growing the things that are working, like that are good for you." And I was like, "Look, this is probably the easiest way that I know how to run money through the ceiling. Like I'm gonna stick to what I know." And the next day, she's on the phone. She's crying. Like she don't even cry. She's not even a type of woman to cry. You know what I'm saying? She was crying. And then she crying, and I'm just like, all right, man, look, I still gotta do what I gotta do. My homeboy called me. He like, yo, you need to start a Christian brand out of nowhere, random. Because I was posting the scriptures. I was posting the scriptures on Instagram, like in my stories and stuff. But I wasn't really like on that. I was just like I was a lukewarm Christian. And so I was like, man, I'm not a strong enough Christian to be starting no Christian brand. Are you insane? Like he was like, nah, I really think you should. I think it'll be good for you. So I was like, you know what? Maybe later. I'm gonna get back to the phone. So she overheard it, of course, and she was like, "Yeah, you need to do that." And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna still do this." Then my other homeboy called me. He like, "Yo, I'm really feeling kind of low right now. I'm feeling like I want to end it all." And we skipped over this too, but I was suicidal after dating the witch. I tried to kill myself about 3 times, but I'm real sensitive to that kind of stuff, right? So when he said that, I was like, "Yo, what? We're gonna link the next day." And so the next day came. I linked up with him first. Me and him went to Hooters. We just talking. He ordered food. Now this man is a man of God. Like he's true and true man of God. Read the Bible, know the Bible every day. You know what I'm saying? He ordered his food. He didn't even get to pray for his food. So I was like, hold on, bro, because this is one of my best friends. So I know that he prays over everything that he does. But he got the food and he about to eat. And so I didn't even say, hold on. I just started praying. You know what I'm saying? Praying for his food. And then he was like, thank you, bro. Like, I appreciate that. I'm slipping. You know, I need to keep God. And then, you know what I'm saying? And I saw like how me just doing that affected him and like switched his whole little mood. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I ain't really give it too much thought, right?
Yeah.
We left that day. Then me and the lady went out for a date. We went to go see the movie Sinners. Now this is this year now. We're in like March. And so I'm like, Sinners, dang, this is an interesting movie. Like, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a lot of symbolism in that movie. And me and her, we had just had a miscarriage at the time. It was like references to dead babies. Me and her, I just went through a situation at the club. They in the club, and it's attracting the devils and the demons to them. And I'm just like, man, so it's like all these revelations. You got the twins, one of them business, one of them's nonsense. It's looking like my two personalities to split. The one of, you know what I'm saying, the avatars that I'm built up. And I'm just like, there was a lot of references here for me. And then it's the music. It's all centered around the music. And just the musical component of what I was doing, promoting the showcases. And it just hit me. I'm like, bro, I need to stop doing these music showcases because I feel like I'm giving the devil a platform. Like, even as I'm doing this, all of this stuff that people are talking about, this is not positive stuff. They talk about killing and sex and hurting people and like abusing women, like all kind of wild stuff. And I'm drugs. I'm like, this ain't what I should be promoting. So I was like, I just had that revelation. And then she literally got me to go to church the next day. And that's when I heard the Simon Peter story. Now, it was so much in that story that hit me in the chest. It was the double portions. It was the overflow. It was the non-believing and then just doing what Jesus said to do. And then at the end, it was what I told you in the beginning. Now, follow me and be a fisher of men. And because I've been such a promoter and an organizer this entire life, my entire adulthood, I was like, man, it just impacted me and it really shifted my whole. I'm like, yo, I'm ready to drop everything. Like, I took it literal. Like, I was like, I'm ready to drop everything and follow Jesus. Like, just show me the way, the truth, and the life. I'm with it. Like, you know. So from that point, I just was like, I'm gonna stop doing everything, and I gave up all of the businesses that I had, all of the functionalities of everything that I did, and I focused on writing that book. Like, from March, I just wrote. I dove in and I'm writing every day on this computer that I'm on right now. Just writing, and I just wrote my not my life story, but a story from my life of all the bad that I've done, and then my coming to God story. Because I was like, I was a promoter, and so I have a platform of people who follow me, who would come out to the club with me. And so when I posted the little fragment of story of everything that happened on the weekend, I got like 200 something, you know what I'm saying, people commenting on this stuff. I'm like, what is going on? Like, they really, they know that that's not me. You know what I'm saying? They know that this is not who this guy is. So what is this? And so it attracted people. And then it also showed me that your story has so much power. So that's when I said, you know, I'm gonna start telling my whole story because people, they see me and I don't look like half of what I've been through. So when I talk about it, it is even more powerful. And when I started doing it, it was just like, man, if I tell you, bro, like half the stuff I talk about, I don't even remember saying it because I pray over it. And I ask Holy Spirit to give me the words. I don't even remember most of the stuff. Like I post videos on TikTok every day, YouTube every day. I don't even remember the stuff. I don't remember the words. I don't remember the script. I just get, bro, like I'm sitting in the park sad and frustrated at everything not going right. And then I've never seen Psalms 25 a day in my life. And it just comes to my head, go read that. What the freak? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what? When I started seeing that, the spirit was real. I got convicted to say, bro, I'm going to use my skills for the kingdom. And not just use my skills for the kingdom, use the influence that God gave me to bring people. Use the skill set to build my influence to bring more people. And the way I look at it is all practice shots, brother. I really just want to be a fisher. That's it. I don't want to be the star. I don't want to be the pastor. I want to speak it. I want to know it. It's always, it ain't far. You know what I'm saying? It's not far. It's going to be right there. So I really just want that on my life. And I think that God wants it for me as well. So it just feels like insane. And so I feel compelled. I don't have it all together, brother. Like, you know this because you're a preacher. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but it's like,
no, you're good. You're good.
So you know this, like when God told people to go do stuff, it was never wait 6 months till you got a plan and then go. Yeah. It was when I tell you to move. When I looked through it, I saw a flight I could afford and I bought it. I'm still trying to figure out the living situation. I'm still, and it's 3 weeks away. I'm still trying to figure stuff out. But like the comfort of knowing that God got you, that faith that people be talking about, I'm trying to see what that be like. I don't want to talk about it. I want to experience it. I don't want to just be a reader, but a doer of the word. I don't want to just be fluff. You can't talk about something that you ain't been through, and you can't have a testimony without a test. I got my life, right? That's just life. I want to die. I want to give my life to Jesus. I don't even want that no more. Use me. I ain't afraid of this stuff no more. And as that warrior that I pretended to be, I became that. That businessman that I pretended to be, I became that. And that man of God that I was born to be, I'm walking in that. And I'm taking everything that I've learned and I'm carrying it in this to say, you need to drop that mask. You need to shift your perspective because everything you're doing, you're probably doing it right just for the wrong reasons. You can look like you bearing fruit, but that vine ain't connected to the source because your heart not right. And you need to fix that. So I can sit there and I can frame it like I want to help people be their best selves. I want to bring people to God. I'm being real with you. You know what I'm saying? I want to bring people here because I want them to feel this fire that I feel. I don't know if you feel the shift in the energy as I start talking about this, but this is not like some fabricated fluff. This is stuff that I feel day in and day out. I'm in that word, 10 chapters. I'm trying to go cover to cover with this. I don't want to go to Bible study. I don't even want to do that. I'll go to church. I'll get the word, but I don't want to hear nobody else's perspective because this is personal. This is between me and God right now. I don't care about your perspective. I want to know what he said, and then I can listen to what you got to say for real. You know what I'm saying? So if you ain't a teacher, leave me be.
I got you. I feel it. And so I want to touch on two things you said. You talked a little bit about the mindset shift, right? And even how you present it. And I like that. But I also want to talk about, you mentioned you're changing from, being, you always was a promoter and promoting different things, but now you're doing community events, and things of that nature, which is totally different. So tell us a little bit about, the events and things that you have going on, and how you're positioning, those events to be able to help people.
Okay. So Mammon was my God, right? I was always in the pursuit of money. So now it's nonprofit. Now it's donations. What you want to give? I don't even care. You know what I'm saying? Because the point is the events. The community aspect of community no longer exists. So you live in a house, you live in an apartment, people don't even know their neighbors. You know what I'm saying? There's no community grocery store, no community barbershop. People don't understand. They can't even discipline kids because you don't even know who these people are to be trying to discipline your kids. You can have a neighbor that has a son that's out there getting jumped, and you'll drive right past them because you don't know. There's no community in community, and it goes past the social component. It goes into politics. You don't know your alderman. You don't know your councilman. You don't know your sheriff. You don't know your fire commissioner. You don't know these people, and they don't make themselves known all the time. And it can get a little bit annoying because it's like these are the people who are in charge of our community, but we aren't in touch enough to know. Mm-hmm. The fact that I was able to wear so many masks, it introduced me to so many different spaces, man. And that's why God always got a plan, right? So I can walk into, I was just in a Republican health conference yesterday, last week. You know, from there, I was at the Titan 100 C-level executives. I'm in there. I go over here and I can still go to the hood because they still going to vibe with me. You know what I'm saying? So I can maneuver in different spaces. And because that I have the ability to bring multiple people together for the same thing. If you're a believer, if you know that you believe in God, you can come here. Whether you're a businessman, because there's a networking component to it. Whether you're a child, because there's a youth component to it. Whether you are just a believer, because there's a worship component to it. No matter what you are in, whether you're health and wellness, is that component. It's layered and it's structured to a point where we can invite everybody. And it's not just this sector, it's everybody. And so we do that 1, 2, 3, 4. First week, we do a business expo. Next week, we do a wellness event. Then we do a youth event. We do it for everybody. Run every month like that. And this is not just some Atlanta stuff. I'm moving to Tampa, but it's not just some Tampa stuff. We taking this every major city. You in Chicago, I'm definitely hitting you up when I'm trying to get through to Chicago. I just need the space. Hook me up with a community center, and I'll make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like I was the business. I told you I did the small business brand. The business development brand, I taught people how to run targeted ads, sales, and generate leads. That's what I'm good at that. While I'm talking to you right now, I can show you a message from an ad that I'm running. Can I learn more about becoming a vendor? You probably can't. Somebody literally just responded. I don't know if you can see it, but
yeah,
literally just responded to an ad. You know what I'm saying? They'll keep talking to me about being a vendor. They'll keep talking to me about being a speaker. They'll keep talking to everybody. The thing is so many important parts of the community. And I just want to bring everybody to get together so that you can know how these policies are being passed through the laws. You know what I'm saying? You don't even know why your taxes are so high. But you ride by and you see the city library being rebuilt and city hall being rebuilt, but your taxes is going up. And you're like, well, why am I paying so much property taxes? What's going on? You don't know this. You know what I'm saying? You don't know that businesses are shutting down, not because you're not supporting them, but because the rent is going through the roof because property is going up. They're controlling the gentrification, not us. We don't support. That is a problem in itself. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about different communities, especially us, the money don't ever stay within the community because there is no community. If you drive 45 minutes to church and you're tithing at that church, you'll never see the works. You'll never see what's going on in that community. You won't even be over there. Mm-hmm. You go over there one day a week. There's a church in your community that you can tithe into. That you see the fruit. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
There's youth programs and things that you could pour into where you can see what is actually happening. But because COVID, because remote working, because all these different things that took people away and just shut them out, there's no connection. And so that's what I aim to do with these events. And the next one that I'm doing is September 13th. It'll be at Core Event Space. It is a worship event that's centered around networking. So we'll have the first two, and then from there we'll be able to move it and do what we do. I found all my partners already. I found the youth. I just connected with the youth partner today. I got the business partner and I got the social partner. So now it's just about organizing them, getting in the space, and just go. And I'm gonna do the same thing in a couple of weeks.
I love it, man. I love your drive and your dedication to it. So, lastly, let's talk about the book a little bit before we get out of here. So, you mentioned that is based off your story, not necessarily your whole story, but it's based off the story. So, how was that experience of writing it, and what is it that you wanted to accomplish now that you finished it?
I want to let it be a message to people to see how far you can go left but still end up right. That's what I'm looking to accomplish.
I
now,
like that.
Now writing it was fun. It was emotional, especially writing about like my grandma and my cousin that got murdered, and like the two people that death impacted me so greatly, like stuff like that. Writing about old relationships, the girl you should have married. You know what I'm saying? You write about all of that stuff, and then it's like you get these triggers, like dang man. But it's a complete body of work, and I was proud of it when I put it out. It it spoke volumes to me, and I feel like the feelings were real as I was writing it. So people feel the feelings as they're reading it. Like people keep speaking about the part with my grandma. The reviews are interesting, and it's like I never knew because I'm not a teller. I'm not a talker. This you might seem like I'm open and I'm transparent because I'm telling my story. I'm being open and transparent. But most of my life I was shut off, and you wouldn't have never knew that I was going through half the stuff that I was going through. And so it's a wake up call for sure. And I just want people to be inspired to know that you can always come back. You can, you know, I'll talk about the type of charges I got: criminal damage to property, aggravated assault, try to throw an attempted murder on me, um, uh, armed robbery, theft by taking. I was an abuser. I was a drug addict. I was a drug user, a seller. I used to sell them like crazy. I was an alcoholic. I've been through AA program. I done did so much stuff. I walked around with an ankle monitor for like 3 years. You know, they deemed me a threat to society. They had to know where I was. You know what I'm saying? But in my heart of hearts, I'm still that kid that should have graduated from Morehouse. I'm still that kid that was doing the children's theater and doing the poetry programs and all of that stuff. I'm still that guy. And that's the one that I really want to let shine. You ever heard of a True North Star?
No, I don't think I have.
So a true north star is the version of yourself that you see that you see yourself as, the one that you feel like you actually are. Because everybody has an identity that they feel like they are versus who they show up as, right? So your
Right.
true
Okay.
north star is who you feel you truly want to be. I take that person and I throw them up there and I put them in front of me and I let my decisions be made by my true north star, right? So if I know that I want to own 5 properties in 20 years, then I know that I'm not going to spend frivolously. I know I'm going to learn about investing. I'm going to learn about saving. I'm going to learn about this more economic structure. You know what I'm saying? If I know that
Yeah.
I want to be married, then I might want to go to therapy and start healing some of these wounds. You know, like no matter what it is, it's a true north star, and that's what I choose to follow. You know.
All right, man. I love it. I love it, man. Man, man, you get very interesting story. I love the passion, man, and I definitely want to support you in everything that you're doing. Before we get out of here, I want you to leave us with a word of advice, inspiration, however you feel, right? And also leave us with your social media handles and things of that nature, where they can connect with you. And so I'll give you a couple seconds to think about that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I want to make sure you guys are checking us out on our website, the dealhealfulfill.org website. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org website. We will be doing a overhaul of the website soon. But you can go there to find more information about us as an organization. Also, make sure you guys go to ernestjamesspeakslife.com, which is my new speakers website, in order for you guys to find out more about me as a speaker and to have me to come out to speak at your school or organization or to facilitate a workshop. So again, that's ernestjamesspeakslife.com. Make sure you guys are checking us out there. Also, ebooksbyejames.com is my ebook website where I have several ebooks that I've written, including the core 4, which is the 4 core values that every daughter should get from her father. There's a ebook called Males to Men for young boys. But one of them that I'm really passionate about and proud of is the Forgiving Me, the 4-step guide to self-forgiveness, which is doing very well. So you guys can get your copies of those ebooks at ebooksbyejames.com. Again, that's ebooksbyejames.com. Make sure you guys are checking us out. Our inspirational t-shirt line is Deal to Heal Tees. That's Deal, the number 2, healtees.com. Put some inspiration in your situation wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. Make sure you guys go there to check out our inspirational tees, as well as our podcast merch, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it. There's one for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and there's also one for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. So make sure you go there to check that out. Last but not least, over the last couple of years, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every other month. We started doing a bi-monthly. And we talk about everything surrounding forgiveness, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of the world, really just diving into forgiveness, because I believe, and we believe as an organization, that forgiveness is a missing component that can solve a lot of the problems and a lot of the ills that we have in our community and in our world today. So make sure you guys go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our next free virtual workshop. Whenever you listen to this recording, either one just ended or there's one coming up, but you can go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our next free virtual workshop, or go to Eventbrite and look up Forgiveness Workshop sponsored by the Forgiveness Mission, and you can go there and find us there. So again, Mr. Hicks, I want to say thank you so very much, man, for being on. I really enjoyed this conversation. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
Well, before I say what I got to say, you got some amazing stuff going on too, brother. Just to see all of that, that's great. And I like that it's not some overinflated prices connected to all of this stuff. Like, you're doing good work, brother. I love that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got like 4 websites, huh? That's
yeah, I gotta put them all in one space, but yeah, that's where I'm at now. It's a couple of them.
I love it, man. I love it. But basically, I'm not even gonna be long with it, man. They say many are called, but few are chosen. Like, you gotta answer the call. Redemption is for everybody, but you gotta want it. You gotta want God. You gotta want the change in your life. You can't have nobody else want anything for you more than you want it for yourself. So the first thing I would say is believe in yourself. The next thing I'll say is believe in your mission. But before you do any of that, you got to believe in God. So the world is your oyster, man. Go out there and get what you want. Go out there and get what you deserve. Go out there and get what's meant for you. And don't leave no crumbs, man. That's all I got for you.
I love it. So where's your social media handles and ways that they can contact you?
Yes, sir. So Instagram at Selvin Hicks, YouTube at Selvin Hicks, and TikTok is at Selvin Hicks Official, and my website is selvinpresents.com. You can access everything that I just listed at selvinpresents.com, including the book Sinner's Redemption. It's available on Amazon and TikTok Shop. So I appreciate you, my brother. Thanks for the opportunity to come and bless this platform, man. This is amazing. I love it. I love everything.
Yeah, no problem. I definitely appreciate you being on. And we can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Tees. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.